If you liked the video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Salamanders, What's Winning Right Now, Episode 2. This video is going to be Episode 2 of Salamanders, What's Winning Right Now. We will be taking a look at the Salamanders list that won a tournament a few weeks ago. Adrian brought the Salamanders using the Firestorm Assault Force to a 2,000 point GT, going 5-0 to win the tournament. We will take a look at the list, the path to victory, and a breakdown of what the Firestorm Assault Force can do to buff up this list. Adrian brought the Salamanders using a Firestorm Assault Force list, and this list came to 2,000 points exactly. The Warlord was Vulkan Hastan. For his other characters, he did have Adrax Bladeguard and a Captain in Gravis armor with the War-Tempered Artifice, a Power Fist, and Relic Fist. Other datasheets: a big 6-man Aggressor squad with the Flamestorm Gauntlets, a 6-man Bladeguard veteran squad to most likely join up with Adrax Bladeguard, 2 3-man Eradicator squads with 1 multi-melta and 2 melta rifles in each one of those units, a 10-man Inferno squad, 2 units of 5 scout squads. Each one of those scout squads does have a scout sniper rifle, 2 Gladiator Lancers, 2 Repulsors with the Las Talon and Hunter Killer missile. Finally, for the other datasheets, 1 Invader ATV with the multi-melta. Dedicated transports was an Impulsor with the 2 Fragstorm grenade launchers and Iron Hail Sky Talon array. That's Adrian's list, and it comes to 2,000 points. Let's take a look at his path to victory and the unit breakdown. On to the path to victory for Adrian's list. I used Best Coast pairings to take a look at these lists in the path to victory. Game 1 had no list, and this was a 70 to ? Win. Game 2 was against the Dark Angels, a 96 to 63 win. Game 3 was against the Thousand Suns, a 92 to 65 win. Game 4 was once again against the Thousand Suns, and once again another dominant 91 to 54 win. Game 5 was against the popular World Eaters. This was a 100 to 80 win. Adrian wins the GT, the only player to go 5-0 with a total of 449 out of 500 points. Congratulations to Adrian on the Salamanders GT win. The first unit in the unit breakdown is the Warlord Vulkan Hastan with 10 Infernus Marines, or at least that's what I think Vulkan was attached to, was these 10 Infernus Marines. Vulkan now has the Tacticus keyword. That means he can go inside Impulsors, Repulsors, and all those other vehicles that require the model to have the Tacticus keyword. The Gauntlets of the Forge range attack is now a pistol ability as well. It can be shot in the shooting phase, even if we are in engagement range. The melee weapon Spear of Vulkan now has devastating wounds, 6 attacks, strength 6, AP 2, damage 2. His Seeker of the Unfound ability has a new sentence, and this matters if we are embarking Vulkan inside a transport for turn 1. Seeker of the Unfound, the first time this model is set up on the battlefield, if he is inside a transport or reserves, we can wait until the actual model is on the battlefield before we pick our Seeker of the Unfound objective. It allows us a bit more time before we choose our objective, before we had to pick it at the start of the battle. Vulkan's other ability, Forefather, the best thing about this ability is that it benefits our entire army as long as they are Adeptus Astartes. Reroll the wounds with Melta and Torrent weapons is a huge damage increase into that one enemy unit. This ability makes 10 Infernus Marines with Vulkan very dangerous into most enemy units. 10 D6 Power Blasters at Strength 5 or Strength 6 within 12 inches, with reroll wounds from Forefather, this can do a lot of damage. That first ability, Seeker of the Unfound, this ability makes taking the selected objective from Vulkan not an easy task. When Vulkan is on his selected objective, he will be OC 10 with a 4+ Feel No Pain and 5+ Leadership. Vulkan plus the 10-man Inferno squad gives us a total of 30 OC, since when we do have Vulkan in the list, each Infernus Marine will gain 1 OC, going from 1 to 2. When this 10-man unit plus Vulkan is on the objective that he has selected, it is going to be 30 OC. The 5 leadership makes it very hard to battle shock the unit and steal the objective. Strength 5 torrent weapons with AP 1 and ignores cover are perfect for killing light infantry and horde units. Give them reroll wounds from Vulkan's Forefather ability for some extra barbecue action. Within 12 inches, our detachment rule close range eradication will take them from strength 5 to strength 6, AP 1 ignores cover. They can threaten medium to elite infantry now. OC2 with a threatening torrent weapon, these Infernus are fantastic in a Salamanders list. Some of the stronger stratagems to use on this unit, once again Crucible of Battle for 1 CP. This in my opinion is one of the best stratagems in the detachment. +1 to the wound roll is one of the best damage buffs in the game. The enemy unit does need to be within 6 inches and the closest eligible target to use this though. These Infernus already have a potential strength 6 from the detachment rule, add +1 to the wound. Now these are wounding most infantry units or anything toughness 5 and under on a 2+. Put these into Vulkan's Forefather target to reroll the wound roll. Immolation protocols for 2 CP, this stratagem can really bring the pain. There is no cap on the amount of devastating wounds we can inflict. Then we put this into the Forefather target to reroll the wound roll. We fish for those 6s on our 10d6 torrent shots. This can threaten even the toughest of enemy units. It is an expensive 2 CP. Make sure to line it up with Vulkan's reroll the wound roll Forefather ability. Next up is Adrax Bladeguard with the 6 Bladeguard. Adrian did not bring the Champion of Humanity enhancement on a character to add to this unit. Adrax with 6 Bladeguard can still do some really good melee damage. Adrax will give the unit reroll the wound roll from his Onto the Anvil ability. This is fight phase only, as well as half the OC of enemy units within engagement range from his Lord of the Pyroclast ability. Adrax himself has 5 attacks, hitting on a 2+, strength 10, AP 2, damage 3, and reroll the wounds when he's leading a unit. He is attached to the Bladeguard. The Bladeguard veterans are one of the few infantry units with a 4+ invulnerable that are not characters or Terminators. Each Bladeguard model has 4 attacks, hitting on a 3+, strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. 24 attacks with reroll wounds from Adrax. The Bladeguard are one if not the best unit to attach to Adrax Bladeguard. Oath of Moment or Crucible of Battle for 1 CP, we can give the unit +1 to the wound roll. Great for a unit who can re-roll the wound roll in melee combat. No lieutenant in the unit makes me think I started this unit in the Impulsor, while Vulkan and the Infernus plus the captain with the Aggressors and the 2 Repulsors. That is the hard part of some of these lists, which unit went in which transport. Armor of Content for 1 CP to add some extra protection for this Adrax Bladeguard unit. He might also be a good unit to rapid ingress out of reserves. There's no deep strike though, so a lot of the time it's good to throw him inside of a transport. Either way, when he makes it into combat, the unit should be able to output some good melee damage. Next up is the Gravis captain with the 6 Aggressors. The Aggressors finally do not need to pay the big unit tax. Before the September 2025 update, a 3 model unit was 100 points, while a 6 model unit was 220 points. Now a 6 model unit is 200 points. The enhancement War Tempered Artifice combined with the Power Fist / Relic Fist gives Adrian's Gravis captain a Strength 11 Power Fist. The Strength 11 Power Fist, along with the ability to half the incoming damage to the Gravis captain, makes the Gravis captain a great brawler. Then it also has one important ability that it brings to the unit, Rites of Battle, to reduce the stratagem cost of a stratagem by 1 CP once per battle round. Now let's throw some of the Firestorm Assault Force rules into this unit. The detachment rule gives them Assault, which is great for getting these 12-inch torrent weapons into range of enemy targets. Like the Infernus squad, 12 inches pairs well with the close range eradication rule. Within 12 inches, these Flamestorm gauntlets go from strength 4 to strength 5. Within 6 inches and the closest eligible target to activate an extra -1 AP from the Aggressor's ability. Crucible of Battle for 1 CP. With Twin Linked in the shooting phase and the fight phase, it is hard to say no to +1 to the wound roll. Within 6 inches and the closest eligible target, we will have Strength 5 torrent weapons with AP 1, Damage 1 ignores cover. +1 to the wound roll with Twin Linked will really help out that damage. In melee, these can now threaten vehicle and monster units. Twin Linked Power Fist, Strength 8, AP 2, Damage 2 with +1 to the wound from Crucible of Battle. If we need to, we can use the Gravis Captain's Rites of Battle to make this cost 0 CP. Another strong stratagem is Immolation Protocols for 2 CP. One of the main reasons we see a Gravis Captain with Aggressors is this stratagem. This stratagem is the reason our torrent weapons can destroy vehicles. Mortal wounds on 6s with no cap on Twin Link torrent weapons, sign me up. We can only use this once per phase. Using it on Vulkan's unit or another unit would cost a flat 2 CP. On the Gravis Captain's unit, we can reduce it to 1 CP. The Aggressors have no invulnerable save and a 5-inch movement. I would think Adrian put the Gravis and Aggressors in one Repulsor, adding some speed and survivability to the unit, as well as some protection from charges using the Repulsor's ability. The unit should have some good shooting and melee damage potential. When we really need to use immolation protocols to melt some enemy units and then charge something else, we could use Crucible of Battle. Use our twin-linked Power Fist with +1 to wound to punch in some faces. Next up is the 2x3 Eradicator squads. 2 units of 3 Eradicators. They could start on the board in a transport or in reserves. We may get the chance to use Crucible of Battle for 1 CP if we get within 6 inches of a target. For the most part, this will be a unit we don't spend much CP on, Armor of Content possibly to help keep them safe. The Eradicator's total obliteration ability, reroll hits, wounds, and damage into vehicle and monster units makes these great for hunting those targets. The detachment rule gives them the assault ability, meaning a potential extra 6 inches of range on those 18-inch range melter weapons. Within 12 inches, they will go from strength 9 to strength 10 from the detachment rule, which makes a big difference into those common toughness 9 and toughness 10 units. Rapid ingress can be used if we really need some shots onto a target, but also need that movement in our turn to get into line of sight. Otherwise, save the CP. Next is the Scout squads. These 2 units of Scouts will be important to scoring secondary points. Adrian can infiltrate them to set up for some early scoring. Against a fast melee army, they can spread out to move block most of the opponent's army. It would be the end of our Scouts. It can be worth it against those lists that depend on early board control to win games. Other than to move block, we want to keep these safe. In the later turns, they can be very good for scoring points. The 2 units of Scouts will be very important to Adrian's list. These transport lists are weak to move blocks. We do not want to get stuck in our own deployment. They can use the infiltrate ability to block the opponent from move blocking the vehicles. The guerrilla tactics ability at the end of your opponent's turn. If this unit is more than 6 inches away from all enemy models, you can remove this unit from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves, or as we like to say, uppy downy. With the infiltrate and guerrilla tactics ability, these are point scoring machines. No real stratagem support we want to use besides Armor of Content to keep these alive a bit longer on the table. Next up is the 2 Gladiator Lancers. The Lancer does not have any transport capacity. That means it does not have as much rule support as the Repulsors or the Impulsor. It does have a hard-hitting laser destroyer, 2 shots, strength 14, AP 4, damage D6 plus 3. Not a unit that needed much stratagem support. It does have the smoke keyword. Adrian could use 2 CP for Armor of Content and 1 CP for smoke for a double whammy defensive combo. The ability to reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, and 1 damage of course is best used on the laser destroyer. Plant this on our deployment or close to a good shooting lane. The Lancer has a reliable way to at least get some laser destroyer shots onto target. It does not need to rely on Oath of Moment as much as the Repulsor shooting, allowing Adrian to split up his shooting without relying on Oath of Moment. It is only toughness 10 with 12 wounds and a 3-up save. It needs to pick its fights, more of a sniper tank than a brawler tank. The detachment rule does give it advance and shoot, handy for getting into line of sight to shoot some enemy targets. Next up is the 2 big transports, the Repulsors. This is one of our better transport options, a big transport capacity of 14. Cheaper than any of our Land Raider variants, currently at 180 points. It is less durable than a Land Raider. Since a Land Raider does have a 2+ save, the Repulsors only have a 3+ save. A good selection of guns with an ability to save our units from enemy charges, a great vehicle in the Firestorm Assault Force detachment. Both Repulsors had the Las Talon instead of the Heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon. Once again with transports, the fact that I did not write the list or play the list, I have to do a bit of guesswork. 14 transport capacity is perfect for the Gravis Captain and 6 Aggressors. Gravis armor takes 2 capacity per model. Possibly Vulkan with the 10 Infernus inside the 2nd Repulsor. The Repulsor's ability, Emergency Combat Embarkation, allows a unit with all models within 3 inches to embark inside the Repulsor. if that unit is the target of an enemy charge. Another unit that makes this list quite a bit different than last week's What's Winning Right Now is an Invader ATV. The Invader ATV would make for a great utility unit with a bit of shooting support. Like the Gladiator Lancer, this will be more of a sniper unit. Adrian could use this to easily grab an objective in no man's land if he wanted to use the scout squads to try to move block the enemy army. A unit that gets more useful as the game goes on. Don't drive it to the center of the board on turn 1 to get it shot into pieces. A 12-inch movement makes it easier to get the ATV within 12 inches to get the multi-melta up to strength 10 from close range eradication. Vulkan Histan can give reroll wounds into the Forefather target with melta and torrent weapons. It does not have the smoke keyword, but it does have the grenade keyword. Drive by grenades. Armor of Content can be used to help keep it on the table a bit longer. Toughness 5 with 3-up save and 8 wounds. Armor of Content can only do so much. Use this for scoring points or holding on to the home objective. Next up is a general game plan for this list. I'm not sure which unit Adrian used to hold the home objective, a Lancer, ATV, or Scout Squad, possibly the ATV since it is cheap. The Lancer would be deployed close to some good shooting lanes to be able to poke out to get some shots with the laser destroyers. The transports would be used to move some heavy hitting units up the board turn 1. They can advance to get some extra movement, maybe even getting into some line of sight. The detachment rule close range eradication gives the entire list advance and shoot. The scout squads could be used to block enemy infiltrators or for some early board control. The aggressors can do some good melee damage. The Adrax unit is the only real melee unit in the list. A lot of long range anti-tank shooting along with some close range anti-infantry shooting. Get board control early. Force the enemy to have to move into range of all of these guns or lose the game on points. The scout squads will help with board control if the list does go second. Let's finish the video with some final thoughts. Congratulations to Adrian on the Salamanders GT win. So far, I've only seen wins with the Firestorm Assault Force. I think we have more GT wins in the past 4 months than we did all of 10th edition. There has not been many changes to any of the Firestorm Assault Force rules. Of the moment, giving +1 to the wound, along with some Space Marine points buffs, has been the main factor. Which list did you like more, Episode 1 or Episode 2? Throw it down in the comments. Subscribe for battle reports, list videos, and other Warhammer 40K content. Channel members gain early access and access to the channel Discord. Like always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.